Welcome into Unscripted. I'm Kristen Clark. I'm with my guys, Kendall, Hunter, and Garrett. And we are heading into week 8 of college football, and TCU is hosting Kansas, the Jayhawks, on Saturday. Boys, we have a night game coming up. 7 o'clock is kickoff.
So hyped for this night game. It's about time. It's about time we actually get a night game.
The atmosphere is just electric when it's a night game because the fans actually show up, stay the whole time.
Yes.
It's going to be
no more excuses. No more excuses.
Really,
guys.
though.
I know, because you've gone off on that in past weeks.
I
Exactly.
feel like everyone has gone off on
Do you
them.
think it's because of the heat? Would you say that's
It's because of the
Yes.
heat.
It's definitely, yeah.
For sure?
I don't think that's a good enough excuse in my opinion, but yeah, that is the reason why.
So what do we think of the game? What's going to happen?
It's probably going to be closer than everyone thinks.
That's what
Like
it is
always.
every year.
Exactly.
And
And
especially
like
with this year, there's a little bit of intermixing among the coaching staffs.
Yes. So, one of the reasons why Kansas always seems to play TCU really close is they know TCU better than most coaching staffs. There's actually 3 coaches on the current Kansas staff that have connections with Gary Patterson. Doug Meacham is the obvious one. He was the offensive coordinator the last 3 seasons, then decided to jump over to Kansas. Kenny Perry was the cornerback coach in 2014. Before that, he was the director of high school relations at TCU. He's now the co-defensive coordinator and cornerback coach at Kansas. And another one that a lot of people don't forget about because he's not a TCU connection is Jesse Williams. He's the defensive line coach, and he was on staff with Gary when he was at Simona State in 1989 to 1991. So these guys know how Gary likes to run his defense.
And do you think it's interesting that they just keep picking them off from TCU football?
Their
staff?
Well, you look at what TCU's doing, like obviously the coaching staff here knows how to build something, so naturally they're going to grab good coaching.
Well, it's different because, we say they know TCU, but TCU under Meacham is a lot different offensively than TCU under Cumbie calling the plays, because when Meacham was here, it was a more vertical, downfield offense, and it was the Boykin and Doxson show, showcasing those singular talents. This year, Turpin has 16 catches, but then you have Diarse right behind him with 14. It's a lot more balanced offense. They lead the Big 12 in rushing. So there's a more emphasis on the short passes down the field, and that's why the third down percentage is as high as it is, 56.7, number 1 in the nation. And why Kenny Hill's completion percentage is so high.
And so I think it's easy for TCU to look at this game and think, oh, it's Kansas, it's the Jayhawks. They're not number 1 in the Big 12, to put it that way. Do you think that's an excuse for our players to have a break? Or, are we going to see Kenny Hill throwing riskier passes?
Well, I want to squash I know we've been close with Kansas these past couple years, and we seem to we've barely figured it out just to get by, but that's too close. But now we have to realize we are number 4 in the nation, and this is a new team. And
it's interesting because our margin with Kansas is closer than every other Big 12 team when they play Kansas.
Last year, 1-point game.
And Kansas missed 3 field goals in the fourth quarter. So if you're looking at it, TCU probably shouldn't have won the game last year. And I think this is a big statement game in terms of college football playoff big picture. It's a night game at 7 o'clock. This could be a game that if TCU plays it close again, voters look at TCU and they go, oh, they struggled to take care of Kansas.
They drop out of the top 4.
I think this is a game where TCU has to win by at least 3 touchdowns
at a minimum.
At minimum for TCU to not be taken down a notch by the national landscape.
And we also have the weather. Last time I checked, there was a 100% chance of rain.
Yeah, so that could be a little risky.
It could be.
Anything
Does
could
that
happen.
affect our team when we have weather like that?
This is why I don't think that will affect us.
I think the cold hurts us.
It hurts us, but I'll tell you one thing. There's a reason why our team is so dangerous this year, and I'll give you 3 reasons. 1, we spread the ball. TCU has 133 receptions between 18 players. That is tied for 2nd in the nation, only behind Clemson. And also, we have 10 players with 10 players with each have a touchdown pass, which is tied for 1st in the nation. So we spread the ball. Defensive coordinators are looking at our offense, just wondering how do we stop them, because we spread the ball between so many players, and they can't key on one specific player to take out because we'll hurt you with another one. And also our defense, which is we lead the Big 12 in defense and scoring defense, rush defense, and total defense. So we're not just stopping them with our fortress on the defensive squad. We are scoring. If our offense is at one point struggling, we're kind of getting low in the game, our defense is there to help us out.
And I want to say that's the focus, is the coaches focus on the cornerbacks and the safeties, because that could be TCU's most vulnerable area.
True.
And I will say this, apparently Meacham is also really good friends with West Virginia's offensive coordinator, so he's giving them a call, hey, what worked against TCU's defense, what didn't work, what would you do differently?
Well, Kristen, you mentioned the weather and the cold and the rain, and could that affect TCU? Well, TCU's strength is running the football, and when the weather gets bad and it gets colder late in the year, you pound the rock.
Gets muddy and
Kyle Hicks, Darius Anderson, Shewo Lanalua, 8 touchdowns out of that Wildcat formation. They've got some Wild Frog. Excuse me. There are 3 guys who can run the ball, so it's not just one back carrying him, so it's just one after another after another. It's
and I will say, a part of me feels like he's going to give those running backs a break, and he's going to have Kenny try and throw the ball more and work on that, because like you were saying, the short passes down the field.
I think
we want to ground and pound.
They're going to take what the defense gives them.
If it's raining,
if the run game is it's raining and slippery and the run game's working, you go that. If it's not working that much and the short passing game is working, then you run that.
Played the other week, and they were trying to run the ball more because that's where they need to work on. That's where they need to improve.
Well, if we focus on the short game, that's an advantage to us, because Kenny Hill is 69.8% completion percentage. That's on record to shatter the TCU record of completion percentage. So if that's our game plan, hey, I think we're going to for sure come out with it.
Well, those short passes can act like runs. When you throw screen passes to the speedy guys like Jalen Reagor, Kennedy Snell, KaVontae Turpin,
just short dump out passes.
Those aren't difficult to complete. You just throw it sideways, and Kenny's shown the ability to do that.
That's why
he's comfortable with that.
And with the receivers that we have, they can take a little 5-yard out and take it the rest of the way. So you don't need to hit the deep ball, because you have guys capable of taking it the distance from 5 yards.
Last year they were dropping those kind of passes.
Now
they're actually figuring it out.
So those are things to look for in Saturday's game. What do we think our predictions are going to be?
I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair for us. I don't think I have a specific score. If I do, I'd probably 52-18. I'm sick and tired of these close games between Kansas. I think we're just going to blow them out at home.
Okay.
I'm going to go with 45-13. I think Kansas is going to get some bigger plays, just on trick plays, because that's the only way I think they're really going to move the ball. But they don't get many points out of it.
Okay. I had 7-45.
You took my score.
TCU winning. No, I did not.
Yeah, she did.
I'm going to go with TCU 56, Kansas 6.
Wow.
We saw last week in the red zone, the Horned Frogs kept Kansas State, even when they got down in there, the 8-yard line, the 5-yard line. It was sacks, it was strip sacks, it was fumbles, interceptions, what have you. The Horned Frogs kept Kansas State out of the red zone from scoring. I think you'll see that again this week, and I think offense goes off 56-6.
We need the crowd. We need the crowd.
And also, with the history of this game, our scores are all probably going to be completely wrong.
Yeah, because the Big 12 is unpredictable. So that's what you guys can look for this Saturday as TCU football hosts the Kansas Jayhawks. But enough of football. We're going to switch it over to basketball. TCU is just ranked to finish 3rd in the Big 12 for the preseason. So Garrett has a little something for us on the recruits and what to expect with TCU basketball this upcoming season.
Yeah, Kristen, the expectations for TCU basketball are a lot bigger than they've been in the past. As you can see here, they've filled out the recruiting class, 5 players in total, 3 4-stars. That's the most that's been in any TCU recruiting class in recent memory. You've got 4-star point guard Kendrick Davis, who posted this tweet with a picture of the entire recruiting class, 4-star shooting guard Ferran Hunt, Caden Archie, and then a couple 3-stars, Russell Barlow, as pictured here, number 21, Angus McWilliam right here, 3-star, number 22. But for TCU, I think Angus McWilliam could be their biggest prospect because he's from New Zealand, ranked a 3-star, but he's a 6'11 shooter at the center position. And like you said, Kristen, the expectations getting a little higher as Jamie Dixon's continuing to build this program. TCU was ranked 3rd in the preseason poll. They're ranked 5th in the football poll. So we now live in a world where the expectations for basketball are higher than they were for football.
And it might be funny because I think, Kansas's defense in football is, we'll just beat TCU in basketball. What about this year, guys? We might just beat them in basketball,
Well,
too.
we've always played them close, and it seems like with football and basketball, the roles were reversed. Kansas played us tough in football when we should have blown them out, and vice versa with basketball.
Well, TCU got the win in the Big 12 tournament last year.
That is true.
And so another thing is we get a lot of guys from Australia, New Zealand. Does Dixon recruit heavily over there, and how does he do that?
Well, so Jamie Dixon played professional basketball over New Zealand, where Angus McWilliams is from, and where Steven Adams, who played with him at Pitt, who's now on the Thunder, played there. And his assistant coach, David Patrick, is from Australia and recruited Ben Simmons to LSU out of Australia.
But why Australia? So you're saying it's because of the connections that the coaches have?
Absolutely. The assistant coaches, that's what that is all about.
I just wonder if there's just a lot of basketball talent that no one else knows about in Australia.
Well, there are some schools
sure,
that,
yeah.
that
You look
tap
at-
the pipeline, like St. Mary's. They've recruited aggressively there. They've had Matthew Deldova, Patty Mills. And so you're starting to get more and more Australian players into America. But you're seeing it a lot at TCU because that's the assistant coach's strengths. Because TCU, like we said, hasn't always been a basketball power. So you got to go maybe an unconventional route to stockpile some talent.
Exactly, but I know this is great for us for TCU basketball, but I think it's even more than basketball because the atmosphere on this campus is just changed completely. Last year, we were just focused on football and we weren't that great, but
And
then we
Jamie
actually
Dixon
had...
came in and said, this place is going to be sold out. And we were
Yes.
all,
We are
yeah,
a basketball
right.
school.
So the
And
basketball
next thing you
helped
know,
us.
it's sold out.
So now I'm glad we're bringing in more recruits. We've got some 4-stars this year. So I'm looking forward to this, how this campus is going to react next year because it's going to be wild.
Well, in talking about the recruits, I think there's one recruit in specific that started this whole thing off with this powerful recruiting class they have this year. When Jalen Fisher decided to come to TCU, I think that's when it all started to change.
That was a turning
because
point.
He's the first 4-star that TCU ever hauled in recruiting since
Which
those
Dixon
rankings
got
came out.
him to come here.
Yeah, Dixon convinced him to decommit from UNLV and come to TCU, and he played well, was a all Big 12 selection, and you're seeing the other guys following.
Welcome to our new segment here on Unscripted called Kendall's Crucial Catch of the Week, where I discuss the crucial and vital topics in the world of sports. Today's crucial topic is 2 words, turpentine. KaVontae Turpin. He is a running back, wide receiver, kick returner, and punt returner. He is all over the field at all times, which is why he's so crucial for TCU's success down the road. He is known for being one of the most polarizing figures in college football. He has been balling out this year on the receiving end, leading our team in catches. But what makes him even more captivating? His punt return ability. Before he was injured last year, he led the nation in punt return average with 28.8 yards per attempt. This year, it's plummeted to 7.2 on only 4 returns. This team needs to create more space for Turpin to work his magic. A punt return for a touchdown is one of the most critical turning points for a team. It's an instant spark. If Turpin can get back into his groove on special teams, this team will elevate to the next level. Until next time, I'm Kendall's Crucial Catch of the Week.
Kendall, I love it. I
That's
feel
how we
like
do
you
it.
really needed some inspirational music, like building up. In the
Yeah,
back
that
of
would have been actually pretty
Or
clutch for
that.
me. That would have been clutch.
You know, and
I'd love to see it.
you talked about Turpin's like how a punt return can be so huge. Don't forget, 2015, Turpin had a punt return, which really shifted the momentum TCU's way. And 2014, in Lawrence, Kansas, TCU was struggling. Got a big punt return for a touchdown, shifted momentum.
I'm sensing a trend here. It's turpentine, baby.
It's Turpin time.
It's turpentine.
Is it always turpentine?
It's always
Oh,
Turpin
It's always,
time.
It
he's,
should be.
he's on the field.
Who we repping that
24/7,
watch, too?
365.
I love
yeah,
that
if you
swag,
watch him,
Turp.
he does the touchdown celebration, and his wristband goes back, and it's just right
Does he
there.
really? I
He
haven't
does.
seen that.
He does. Look on Twitter.
It's a beauty. It's a beauty.
Oh.
It's golden. It looks like a Rolex. Probably not a Rolex, but it could be.
It
I wouldn't
might
be surprised.
I mean, he does so many different things on the field, which helps him gain so many more yards. And I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere, I think we were talking about it the other week, he's on track to beat LT's record in, was it
All-purpose
total?
yards.
All-purpose yards. That's what
Because
it
he's got
was.
those kick return and punt return abilities.
Right.
So.
Yeah, LT wasn't as big of a factor in the return game. He was more just give him the ball
Strictly.
out of handoffs and let him go to
Let him
work.
loose. Let him loose. Perfect.
All right, great stuff from K-Wash over here. That's all we have for today on Unscripted. Hopefully we'll see you at the game on Saturday. Until then, we will see you next time.